Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your 2022 write-in Oakland mayoral candidate. Well, tonight is a big drawing. I mean, this is an epic drawing, and we'll see who comes out and may be the next Powerball winner. And so we'll see. Could be a group of people, could be an individual. I remember one of the drawings, it was there was a winner, and it was in a state where the state doesn't declare who that person is, just that they have the ability of anonymity. Whereas here in California, we don't have that issue. The jackpot winner is announced, but here's the thing. If you are struck by lightning, so to speak, and you win the biggest jackpot in lottery history of $1.9 billion. And here we have a California payout currently sitting at $929 million. That's a single lump sum payout that's estimated by the California Lottery. And so if you are struck by lightning and you are blessed with that, I want to offer you some really good advice here. And please don't treat this lightly because there's a lot of things that can happen. First of all, what you want to do when you buy your lottery tickets and you have them, the lottery advises you to put your name and your telephone number on the back. Do not put your address, and definitely do not sign on the line. Those are things you want to do at the lottery office. That here to where I am, the closest lottery office is to the south, about not even half hour. And so if I were to hit the lotto, I don't have to go to Sacramento or travel very far. I just travel to the south of Hayward, off of Industrial Boulevard, and there's a California Lottery redemption station over there, and that's where I would be going to. But anyway, be sure to put your name and your telephone number on the back of your tickets, and don't sign them. Don't put your address on them. Do that at the lottery office. Next thing you want to do, you want to get yourself legal expertise. And first thing that you need to know is, should you be one of the jackpot winners, California Lottery has a requirement that you have acquire a financial planner, financial advisor within 10 days of you redeeming your winning lottery ticket. And you have to have that advisor, planner noted in the California Lottery. So it's a good idea to have that person in advance before you go down there, and then that way all the paperwork and everything will be notarized and put into play. And from what I remember in writing, there 10 days after the legal planning advisor registered with the state of California is approved and notarized, you will receive your payment. And so it's a process, folks. It is a process. But coming into large sums of money as a windfall like that can have also some very serious consequences. One of those consequences is a federal tax of 38% that will be due in full within 365 days of you receiving your lottery winnings. Some portion of that will be taken out and forwarded to the IRS on your behalf, and as required in some cases. So anyway, that part, you still have a tax liability, and that's where a lot of folks get into trouble, and where you really need to have good financial planners, a good CPA, a good tax attorney, and a registered state of California, in my state, of a financial planner. Because not all financial planners are registered here in the state of California. And so it's important that you get one so that in the event something happens, you have some legal recourse on that matter. And that's, we don't want to go down that road, but just take it from past experience that it costs money to have money, or I should say, it costs money to be wealthy. Most of you know my background, and that I had acquired a pretty good financial portfolio. I had five people advising me on my money. It cost me money to keep money, because there's so many different things that are in demand. Taxes, I was paying on a quarterly fashion on top of what I was paying through my corporation as an employee, and so that was substantial. But then also where my income bracket between my then wife and I, we were 1% income earners at the time, so we needed folks that could advise us properly so that we don't make mistakes in taxes, IRS issues, investment issues, and the like. And so that's why you have a staff. We had a staff of 5 people to advise us on everything, and that was, once we had the first part, a financial planner, we had a lot of difficulties with our money. We were doing what everybody said to do, but the sad part was we were following the instructions of broke people. There's no nice way to say it. We were following instructions of broke people. We didn't have the financial wherewithal or the financial information or the financial education that would have helped us to get to the point where we were mostly debt-free. The only debt that we carried was the mortgage on our home that we owned, and that was it. We didn't carry car payments, we didn't carry credit card debt. We were literally debt-free except for the home. But then we owned the home. That's the difference, where we use our single-family home as our own personal bank. We made loans to ourselves. We what is called leveraging. We leveraged our home, the value of our home, and took the money out. We paid for everything, which drastically increased our net worth, because we those liabilities now suddenly became assets, because there's no more cost in the basic operation, and so now we're using them for different opportunities and pleasure and fun, and it costs us nothing. Whereas other ways, if we continued financing the boat, yes, we could kick the can down the road, so to speak, in terms of ownership. But why do that? Why make somebody else rich? In this case, it was the Marine Bank that financed the boat. And so after we found the maximum value, and that's why you have a good CPA and a good tax attorney. they will tell you when you are at the maximum that you can leverage in terms of deductions, because we were using not only our home, but also a boat as our second home for additional deductions. Some folks buy homes, some buy apartments, and a lot of different things. But in this case, our second home was our floating home on the water. That was our boat. And we had a small sport boat, which didn't cost a whole lot. Then we had our express cruiser, our first express cruiser, and that was 26 foot, and then we moved to a 30 foot. And so the expenses get substantially more, but then there was a reason why we moved to that 30 footer, and it was for the deductions that were available on a much more expensive boat versus the smaller boat that we really enjoyed, the 26, and we put more hours on that. But the tax leveraging and the tax advantages pointed to a much more expensive boat, and we still had the pleasure of using it and operating it. And then we didn't quite get to the maximum leverage of deductibility because of our divorce, but we saved a lot of money, and that's how we kept a lot of money in our pocket, by using some of the other advantages, the tax advantages, which are available to everybody. But in this case, there's so many different variables for every household, and only thing I can say is look up the best possible legal staff and financial advisors, and talk about the finances, because the world drastically changes when you redeem that lottery ticket, and it can be what is called the curse of the lottery, or it can be a huge blessing. And it's all dependent upon how you set this up. First thing that you want to make sure you don't do is put it all over the internet. Don't put it on social media. Don't put it on the internet. And in most cases, I would even advise you, other than people on a need-to-know basis, such as those that live in the home, and they know, those are need to know. And those are the people that should stay in a very tight circle until all the legalities are worked out. And the legalities, first thing that you want to do is seek out a financial planner, financial advisor, or family estate attorney. And that helps you with family planning for the dividing of those funds, and creating a place where you, the winner, are not totally liable for all the taxes. Like I said, there's a 38% federal capital gains tax that is imposed on lottery winners, and it is a portion of it is taken out at the very beginning before you receive your overall winnings, and then the rest is due in full 365 days later. And so if you don't pay it, the fines and penalties are incredible. They will wipe you out, and that's what has happened to a lot of past lottery winners, and we want to make sure that that doesn't happen to you. And having those legal advisors is really important, and even if you don't have money for those high-priced lawyers, because believe me, they are very expensive, but they are worth every cent in helping you to maintain that wealth so that you do not become a victim of the curse of the lottery. Seek out those legal advisors. Make sure they're registered with the state of California. Also do some research on them. Make sure that they're good, they're legitimate, and possibly if You can get hold of some past clients of theirs for recommendations, advice, or how they do for you, things like that. That would be absolutely incredible to help you get the right advisors. And it takes time. You don't get them always right away. It took my wife and I about 3 years to finally get the staffing and the legal advisors that we needed and in place for us. And we had two different lifestyles. My wife maintained her own portfolio, and I maintained my personal portfolio. We did not have joint portfolios or any portfolio where we combined our resources. So we kept all of our financial matters very independent of each other as much as possible. And even with our home, we had a house account, and from our living expenses, our home expenses, bills, everything would be paid out of that house account. And that worked very well for us because we would put in a certain amount of our paychecks into that so that we knew that all the bills were covered, and then the rest was our each other's own personal discretionary income, so that we can do whatever she wanted to do or I wanted to do. In her case, she enjoyed fashion. She was a fashion model. She loved shoes. She loved clothing. So she spent a lot of her discretionary income on that. Back in the day, I was a tournament fisherman. I fished freshwater tournaments. I also fished saltwater tournaments and brackish water tournaments. And so I had a huge fishing rod and fishing reel collection, and it was so substantial that it took one bedroom just for my fishing rods and reels, but yet I had the ability to fish any kind of water for any kind of fish and be very, very proficient at it. So to each their own. That's why I also had a lot of boats. I fished a lot of lakes. I fished out in the bay. I fished out in the ocean. Fished up in the Sassoon, the brackish water area, and also the Sacramento. So I fished a lot of freshwater, and I had lots of friends on the bass tournaments. So I was usually a backup for a lot of my friends who needed a last-minute partner. And they could usually count on me if I was in the country. So moving on, anyway, back to finances. Please be sure to get good financial advisors, planners. That, number one, helps you get your money as quick as possible. Set up a separate bank account for that collection. And I always tell folks, for that kind of money that account is going to hold, have 2 or even 3 signatures that have to be included on any purchases or anything that comes out of those accounts. And a check has to be written for above a certain amount. In many cases, I would say anything above $5,000, but it's not unheard of to be much higher. So, but I would at least set a limit, a baseline limit of $5,000. So if a check is written in the amount of $5,000 to a charity or anywhere, doesn't matter. It was a check written for $5,000. It takes all 3 signatures or all required signatures. It could be as little as 2, but needs and should have 3, so that you have a CEO, a CFO, and also whoever's in charge of your accounts payable. All 3 signatures should be on that check. then everybody's on the same page. Everybody's looking at the same statements and the same accounting. That's accountability, folks. And that's what I uphold all the time. Thanks for joining me today. I wish you a lot of luck on tonight's lottery, on Powerball, and I hope that money does a lot of good to wherever it lands. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.